Hi guys, this is Kung Fu Chowder, and today I'm going to be doing the first of a series of tutorials based around the idea of making an easy tutorial, just something simple for you guys to hold on to and to grasp for your future projects. And if you're just starting with Gamemaker, this is a great way to get into it, just learning little things like this, and you can take it on from there. So right away, like if you're not familiar very much with Gamemaker, this is our workspace as it says up here on the tab. And then over here we have a whole bunch of different things that we can put in our game. Right away you'll notice that out of all these different things over here, the only one that's white is this one right here, and that's because Gamemaker always starts you out with a room. So let's check that out. Let's look at that room. Okay, so here we've got a grid, and if we back out, we're seeing that grid. This covers the entire space of what you're going to see if you run your game. Down here, it'll tell you the dimensions of that. The width is 1366, and the height is 768 is what we've got it set up for, and you can change that if you want to. Over here, we've got layers. So we have two layers that Gamemaker starts us out with. One is the instances layer, and then you've got your background, which you can put like different pictures into, whatever you want your background to be. So anyway, today's tutorial is we're going to make a flickering object, something that's created, and when it's created, it'll flicker. So right away we've got, down here we've got sprites, and first thing we need to do is we need to make a sprite. We right click on sprites, go up here to create, and then down to sprite. I'm going to name that sprite SPR underscore yellow circle. That is our sprite. It shows it right here. You can either change the name of it here or you can change it down here. It gives us that sprite with the dimensions as 64 by 64. And you'll notice over here, this is where our picture is going to be, our sprite, whenever we create it. Our origin point is up here in the corner by default. You can change that to wherever you want it to be. I'm going to click on middle center right now. So let's just, let's go in and we'll edit that image. You can turn this grid on or off. I find it's very helpful when creating things. So we're going to go down here, we're going to choose our ellipse tool. This side, if you click on this side, it's going to be like solid all the way through. And if you click on this side, it's just going to create an outline. So I'm going to create that yellow circle and just take this up here. And then you just hold down and you drag across and it creates this nice big kind of circle. Now we've created it perfect so that the lines are right in the center, right where we need them to be. And so we've got our sprite now. So now if we want to create code and we want to put it and we want that sprite to do something, we need to give it code. And in order to do that, we're going to have to make that sprite into an object. So let's just come up here and let's click on objects. Create an object. And we'll change that name to obj, which stands for object, and then yellow circle, keeping in uniform there. Now right here it gives you this. Click on no sprite. Down here it gives you a pop down menu and you can click the yellow circle. So now if you look at it over here like I was talking to before, anything that has something in it is going to be a white triangle and not the transparent one. So now we can click down and our object is there, sprite's here, and we have a room in this one here. So now we want that yellow circle to flicker, and then we're also going to have to need it in our room too. We want it to be in our room. So say you want to create something and you want it to flicker. Say that's like a laser or something like that. You're going to need to have an object to spawn that item from in order to make it flicker. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an object. And for this project, I'm not going to put any sprite to that object. I'm just going to name it object flicker. All right. So then we can go into our room. I can click this tab up here, or I can go double click down here on the room, and here's our room. We're going to take that object flicker, we're going to drag it into that room, and as you'll see, it popped up on the instances layer because we had the instances layer selected up there. So now it's in our instances layer. So now if we go into that object, we can add some code to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the step event. Any code that you write in the step event is going to be ran at 60 frames per second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put var, which makes this a local variable, meaning that it's something that's only being used in this object and in this step event. It's not going beyond that. So, and then I'm going to make that local variable, and I'm going to call it inst. It's something that a lot of people commonly use. So, and then equals instance layer create. Now this is a function, and we need to create certain we need to do certain things to make it work. Down here it'll show instance. Oh, I got that backwards. Create layer. There we go. Okay, so now I'll click in here, and down here at the bottom it's showing us what we need to fill to make this work. So we need an X and a Y coordinate. So now I can put that on the X and Y coordinate of the object that we just created, the flicker object. So now I fill that in with X and Y. So now it's going to happen right on top of that object flicker that we put in our room. And then we're going to add it to an instance layer. And so you notice over here we have background and we have an instance layer. So now to put it on that instances layer, we're going to put quotations, and we just need to spell instances. And then put another quotation there. And then we name our object, object. And then it'll try to guess what we're doing. We'll click on the yellow circle and then bracket, and that's it. That's all of the things that it required. So now it's going to create that. It's going to create that 60 frames per second. It's going to be creating another one. Just know that if you're trying to create things from an object, don't put it in the step event unless you want it to be created 60 frames per second. But that's gonna work for what we're doing here for our flickering. So now we can use inst, and that's referring to, so each instance that's created, inst image alpha. So the image alpha of something is how transparent or opaque it is. 0 being fully transparent and 1 being fully opaque. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, for this instance, inst.image alpha, we're going to make it choose a value. So now down here you'll see that it gives you 3 different values that you can put in this function. We're going to put 0.5, 0.8, and 1. Make sure you put your other bracket in, or your parentheses in there, and then put a semicolon on the end of it. So now it's creating this, and for each one that it creates, it's going to choose between 0.5, 0.8, and 1. So now the other thing that we need to do is create an alarm, because we need to destroy each one of these instances as they're being created. So you can either put alarm and then bracket 0 equals 1, and that will make this alarm go off every frame. Or you can also use the other function is alarm set down here, and that will allow you to choose which alarm you're talking about, which I would put 0, and then the count at which is going to set off that alarm. So every frame would be 1. Go here, put my parentheses. So now we need to create that alarm. All right, so we go down to alarm, We're going to hit 0 because that's the one that we already told them about. So alarm 0, and in this one we're going to destroy the instance. So what do we want to destroy? So we want to destroy the yellow circle. So instance destroy, and then in the parentheses we're going to just put object and then yellow circle. So let's go back and make a review of what we've just done here, okay? So we made our object, we made the yellow circle, and then we made the object that's going to spawn the yellow circle. And then in that object that's spawning that yellow circle, in our step event, we're creating it we're creating it 60 frames per second. And then each one that's created, the image alpha of it, it's going to choose between all three, either of these values. And then each time it's being created, an alarm is being set. And then every frame that's created is going to be destroyed here in the alarm. And I think we already put it in there. So now we can go ahead and we can test this out. We can try it out and see if we have our flickering object. Let's press play. And there we go. We've got our yellow circle. It's right where the object flicker was put in the room, and it is flickering between all those values. So what you're seeing is not a solid object, it's just this object. It's being spawned 60 frames per second and being destroyed that fast too. And then each one that's created is created with a different image alpha. So that's what you're seeing on the screen. That is our tutorial for today. If you have any questions, you like this tutorial, just comment or like it, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be creating more of these in the future, and I hope that you guys enjoy them. Thank you.